Good morning, students, and once again, we are all back with a very interesting lesson written by Ruskin Bond. All of you remember Ruskin Bond? We recently studied his poem, The Owl. So, Ruskin Bond was born in 1934, is an Indian writer of British origin. He has spent most of his life in Dehradun and loves writing about the forest, hill station, and people of this region. Many of his stories are autobiographical. The Indian Council for Child Education has recognized his role in the growth of children's literature in India. You remember he wrote his first book when he was at the age of 17. He was honored with Sahitya Academy Award in 1992 for Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra. This text is about a cherry tree and a little boy who plants it. Come on, let's see what happens now.
One day, when Rakesh was 6, he walked home from the Masuri Bazaar eating bright red cherries which had come all the way from the Kashmir Valley. Rakesh lived with his grandfather on the outskirts of Masuri, just where the forest began. His father and mother lived in a small village 50 miles away where there were no schools. So they sent him to stay with his grandfather in Masuri. Grandfather was a retired forest ranger. He had a little cottage outside the town. Rakesh was on his way home from school when he bought the cherries. By the time he reached the cottage, there were only 3 cherries left.
Have a cherry, Dada.
He said as soon as he saw his grandfather in the garden. Grandfather took 1 cherry and Rakesh promptly ate the other 2. He kept the last seed in his mouth for some time, rolling it round and round on his tongue until all the tang had gone. Then he placed the seed on the palm of his hand and studied it.
Are cherry seeds lucky?
Asked Rakesh.
Of course,
Then I'll keep it.
nothing is lucky if you put it away. If you want luck, you must put it to some use.
What can I do with the seed?
Plant it.
Rakesh went to a corner of the garden where the earth was soft and yielding. He did not have to dig. He pressed the seed into the soil with his thumb and it went right in. Then he had his lunch and ran off to play cricket with his friends and forgot all about the cherry seed. In the winter evenings, Grandfather and Rakesh sat over a charcoal fire and Grandfather told Rakesh stories. In return, Rakesh would read to him from the newspaper. One spring morning, Rakesh went to the garden and picked up what he thought was a small twig and found to his surprise that it was well rooted. He stared at it for a moment, then ran to fetch Grandfather, calling,
Dada, come and look. The cherry tree has come up.
What cherry tree?
asked Grandfather.
The seed we planted last year. Look, it's come up.
Rakesh went down on his haunches, while Grandfather bent almost double and peered down at the tiny tree. It was about 4 inches high,
Yes, it's a cherry tree.
said Grandfather.
You should water it now and then.
Rakesh ran indoors and came back with a bucket of water.
Don't drown it.
Rakesh gave it a sprinkling and circled it with pebbles.
What are the pebbles for?
Asked Grandfather.
For privacy.
Said Rakesh. That year the monsoon rains came early and Rakesh plodded to and from school in raincoat and gumboots. The cherry tree grew quickly in the season. It was about 2 feet high when a goat entered the garden and ate all the leaves. Only the main stem and 2 thin branches remained,
Never mind.
said Grandfather.
It will grow again. Cherry trees are tough.
Towards the end of the rainy season, New leaves appeared on the tree. Then a woman cutting grass scrambled down the hillside, her scythe swishing through the heavy monsoon foliage. She did not try to avoid the tree. One sweep and the cherry tree was cut in two. When grandfather saw what had happened, he went after the woman and scolded her. But the damage could not be repaired.
Maybe it will die now.
Said Rakesh,
Maybe.
said grandfather. But the cherry tree had no intention of dying. By the time summer came round again, it had sent out several new shoots with tender green leaves. That monsoon, Rakesh went home to his village to help his father and mother with the planting and ploughing and sowing. He was thinner but stronger when he came back to grandfather's house at the end of the rains to find that the cherry tree had grown another foot. It was now up to his chest. One day he found a bright green praying mantis perched on a branch, peering at him with bulging eyes. Rakesh let it remain there. It was the cherry tree's first visitor. The next visitor was a hairy caterpillar who started making a meal of the leaves. Rakesh removed it quickly and dropped it on a heap of dry leaves.
Come back when you're a butterfly.
He said winter came early. The cherry tree bent low with the weight of snow. One morning, when the sun came out, grandfather came into the garden to absorb the warmth of the sun. He stopped in front of the cherry tree, stared at it for a few moments, and then called out.
Rakesh, come and look. Come quickly before it falls.
Rakesh and grandfather gazed at the tree as though it had performed a miracle. There was a pale pink blossom at the end of a branch. The tree kept blossoming right through the spring. That summer there were small cherries on the tree. Rakesh tasted one and spat it out.
It's too sour.
He said,
They'll be better next year.
said grandfather. On a warm sunny afternoon, Rakesh was looking for grandfather but could not find him. Then he looked out of the bedroom window and saw grandfather reclining on a cane chair under the cherry tree.
There's just the right amount of shade here.
Said grandfather. Grandfather and Rakesh waited in silence until the stars came out.
There are so many trees in the forest.
Said Rakesh,
What's so special about this tree? Why do we like it so much?
We planted it ourselves. That's why it's special.
said grandfather.
Just one small seed.
Said Rakesh as he touched the smooth bark of the tree.
I wonder,
He whispered.
is this what it feels to be God?
So, students, Rakesh planted the seed of the cherry tree because grandfather said that for anything to be lucky, one needed to use it, and the best way to use the seed was to plant it. So Rakesh planted the cherry seed in a shady corner where it wouldn't be disturbed. The cherry tree grew up quickly in the rainy season. When the first flower bloomed, Rakesh was 9 years old. Rakesh was very happy when he said, Is this what it feels like to be God? So, God, who is our creator of everything, must be also filled with wonder at each of his creation and must be loving each of his creation so much. Students, after you do the reference to context and answer in detail, we come to the grammar section on page number 33. Here you are going to study about relative clauses. They are used to give you more information on nouns or pronouns in a sentences. They are linked to the main clause with the words that, who, which, where, whom, and so on. So hurry up. Now just underline the relative clause in these sentences. Now, students, relative clause can be of two types: defining clause and non defining clause. In defining clause, It gives essential information about the person, place, or thing that we are talking about. And in non defining clause, additional information is given. Now, all of you circle the defining clause and non defining clause in these sentences. Then we come to the vocabulary section. Complete these sentences with the phrasal verb. So, all of you hurry up, attempt it, and check your answers with me. And we meet again very soon. Complete your work and get back to class for the next video. Bye.